And our guest today, that was what? John, what would you say, 25 years ago?
25-ish years ago? Yeah, it's probably about
Yes.
1995. It was
And
late at night. We were sitting out in the Arts and Crafts deck, which I don't even know if it still exists anymore. I know they tore the building down. I don't know what the building looks like these days. But Tom was telling us how perhaps...
Oh my God, no. None of this
yeah.
is going in.
And then someone said, "Hey, Tom, can you..." And he said, "I'd like to, but..."
Now, and that is how we all became friends.
Now, see, this is recorded. Now, what do I do with this? What do I do? This is gold, but I can't do anything. What's the audience for this?
Yeah, the audience is the Indiana Jones Minute.
Indiana Jones, Indiana Jones, Indiana. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where we discuss the film Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, one stern talking to at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm the intern, Jerry Porter.
And my name is John.
Hello, John.
Hey.
It's our old friend John. No,
It's
wait a minute.
our old friend John.
You're not Pete. Where's Pete? Oh, we just got word that Pete he got lost in his own museum. He's not going to be joining us tonight. We're sorry. We miss him. We wish him well. I think he's in the, I don't know, the Plasticine period wing or something. I don't know where he is.
He is. Yeah.
If we knew where he was, we could help him.
You know, in the Cleveland Natural History Museum, if you went down into the basement, they had a little wing. It was kind of like a hallway, and it was of shrunken heads.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now, I mean, they were on display, and I could see Pete being lost down there.
Yeah. But on purpose. Like, oops, I'm lost in the Hall of Heads.
Wow, I lost
do that
my
instead
keys.
Of talking about Crystal
Lost
Skull.
my keys again. The
Oops.
shrunken heads wing.
You understand me, shrunken heads. Anyway, but John's here. John, our buddy John, we a few weeks ago, we had your kid brother Rob on. So it's like Camp Michigania home week or something. We're all hanging out, third week of camp. But welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much. I actually, when you first pitched the idea and you said that my brother was going to be on the show, I thought that you meant that we were supposed to be on the show together so we could bring the both brother bedlam.
Oh, that would have been the way to do it. Damn
yeah,
it.
apparently we're on separate episodes, but that's okay.
Oh, well. We're spreading out the love. We'll look at it that way.
There
The
you
love
go.
and the power. All right. Well, we're glad you're here for minute 66. This will be good. Crack open a Mountain Dew as we start to discuss minute 66, which begins with Marion and her son Mutt, if you can believe that, arguing, and it ends with Oxley reciting poetry to Indy. And Indy has just been faced with the reality that Marion Ravenwood is alive and well and back in his life, and she and Mutt start arguing, and it's a very like TV theatrical arguing, complete with the phrase "young man." I feel like if she didn't say "young man" here, I could handle this sort of forced argument a little better. But it seems a little canned or something.
Well, it's kind of I told you not to come to South America.
Yeah, right. No, you didn't.
You have a vocabulary test tomorrow.
Although speaking of cans, you've already taken me out of the minute because when you talked about Mountain Dew, I was thinking of a Mountain Dew fading into the Paramount logo.
Oh, wow.
Hey.
Oh, my God. Hey, maybe Indy 5. We can hope.
Yeah. Yeah. We can.
That would be beautiful.
It'll be called Stupido. I like that. That should
Stupido
be.
Dew. Yeah.
Stupido Dew. Yeah, it'll be like their crazy flavor.
Yeah, it tastes a little bit like Mountain Dew and a lot like you have spikes in your face. But you can't exactly tell how it's different from regular Mountain Dew.
There's the marketing totally spiked. Wait, now,
I have no idea. I've never actually had a Mountain Dew.
Is that true?
Really?
Wow.
That's true.
Man.
That's fine.
Yeah.
All right.
You know what? Keep doing that. Keep not doing that. Don't do the do.
Okay, hang on. Couple of questions. Now, John, in my life, you are a person who is a rock of logic. Okay, you're somebody. It's like, if you say, "Hey, can you read this paragraph and tell me what the person is saying?" Like, like you're like a story problem kind of guy, And I can come to you if I have a story problem. So, a few questions here. Okay, so Indy left Marion.
Well, I mean, I think she turned 18, so he was no longer interested.
She was suddenly attainable. And
it's kind of like Leonardo
Yeah.
DiCaprio, really.
I feel like saying, all right, so, hey, you listen to our show.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure, so up to this moment, what does Indy think Marion has been doing? Like, when was the last time that they saw each other?
Probably years ago. Does he really care what she's been doing? I mean, if you don't have the internet, because this is not 1950s, and you had to keep in touch with your exes via long distance, which was really expensive. Do you bother?
Your postcards is dried up. I had no idea where you were. How was I supposed to know?
Well,
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it seems like okay, we saw them at the end of Raiders, walking down the steps and everything. They're happy as clams. And then she apparently, I guess the lore is that she was pregnant when he left. I mean, obviously, they were together when she got pregnant, like actually together, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And then I guess he left without knowing that she was pregnant. Well, you see, John, when a man and a woman either love each other very much or just feel like it, the man takes his misunderstanding.
Or if they find themselves on a boat.
Yeah, if they're on a boat with some pirates.
in the captain's quarters. Yeah. And listen, if you have
too bad,
you got the captain's quarters, you gotta celebrate.
Yeah.
So I think what you're saying is that we could have avoided Mutt Watch if she'd given him some crystal skull.
Yes.
I have no idea if that joke is going to get Wilhelm screamed out of the podcast, but
I don't know either. I'm thinking
I don't know either.
I might. I mean, you have to. If you might have to do enough work that it's fine as it is.
I'll say
it wouldn't hold up in a court of law. That yeah.
It's the type of joke that's befitting for this movie, though.
Yes.
Okay, well, hold on. So the last thing we heard about this was basically, I don't know, kid, there were a lot of Marys.
Right.
All right. And then now we have this. And what's interesting is, I mean, I love how Indy is, he's got this sort of obsequiousness, almost like he's almost castrated. And saw, and I mean that lovingly, and it's like he kind of he like takes a step back and he goes, well, now that's not what I mean. I understand, you know what I mean? Because she's like, what? You didn't think that I was going to move on with my life? I've had a very good life, and he's like, no, I understand. Like we're talking about, we don't see Indiana Jones have this emotion. Like I've never seen the side of him. We said that last week. He did that kind of, I don't know, that charming shrug. Yeah. We've never seen that, and now we see another one here. This way we go. Now that's not what I meant. I have never in my life seen him do anything. This is a guy who gets in trouble all over the world.
Yeah, I guess we haven't seen him with anybody else throughout all the movies who he could have this reaction with. Like Marion and like the history that they have is the only one who could bring that out of him. Maybe.
So is he with Marion then? Is he Uxorious?
Well, you have to define Uxorious. And
then that's why John's on the show.
Overly deferential to one's wife.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Well, they're not married, so that makes it difficult, and they're not in a relationship, and they haven't been for decades. I suspect that since this is set in the 50s, back when we last saw Indy in the 30s, sitcoms did not exist, but now they have this cultural touchstone where like these ridiculous situations pop up because now they have sitcoms, and this is how conversations go.
Yeah. It
Wow.
actually sounds a lot like that. You're right.
You're right.
It is
That's
that kind of
beautifully
like,
said.
now, dear. It was all just a big misunderstanding. I was putting up a
So,
shower curtain.
so Jerry, are those the exegetical ramblings that you were hoping for?
Yeah, welcome to the show.
We're getting
I
our
mean, I
money's
felt,
worth.
yeah, I'm rewarded. I-
What do you
well,
make of Marion's a damn good, really good life?
it's okay, John. What do you make of that?
I mean, she's obviously lying.
It does seem like maybe she hasn't had that great of a life. I don't know, but is that? I mean, she doesn't seem like she's had a rotten time.
Well, hold
but I
on. Now,
guess
why do
I
you
don't know
think
what you have
she's
to go
lying,
on.
John?
The delivery, she's like, trying to convince Indy and perhaps even convince herself that it's true.
It's a little
Yeah.
okay. So
It's
obviously the line is forced, but I feel like the line, the writing of it is a little forced. Like now these
Yeah.
people haven't seen each other in decades,
Right. At least
and
20-something years. Yeah.
I like how, I mean, Indy is like, he's all sixes and sevens. He doesn't know what to do, and it's fantastic. By the
Mhm.
way, Harrison Ford is crushing this, and I love it. And
Yeah,
this could
he
be
is.
an incredibly difficult scene to pull off. And
Mhm.
and I think it's incredible. I believe this Indy. Now I know he gets a little shoehorned in there. He gets around Marion, and all of a sudden he's like a little boy with like his hand in his pocket, like, well, now hang on now, dear. And but he for some reason he pulls it off, I think, beautifully. But she would have been great with like a damn good life, and that would have been fine.
She comes, whether or not she's lying, she definitely comes across as if she is trying to convince her ex-boyfriend at the high school reunion or something that she's doing awesome, and that he doesn't, he's putting him in his place by showing how good of a life she has and how she didn't need him to be happy and stuff. I mean, like, you go to your high school reunion, and no matter where you are in life or how you're doing, you want people to think you're doing awesome, or that
Sure.
you're at least centered and doing fine and stuff. And, no, I'm not
I
nearly as rich as you, but I'm very happy.
Yeah,
I got it all
get it,
together.
but be confident about it. She's the
Yeah.
yelling just sort of sets it off. Like, yeah, I'm just sort of trying to, I don't know, replace sincerity with volume.
Yeah. I mean, Indy responded to seeing her with like a kind of like, bashful giggle thing. And now maybe her response to Indy is kind of like, duh, like I'm all jazzed up. I gotta shut this guy up. And he pissed me. Like he left. I mean, he did leave her. So like she's legitimately pissed at him too.
so did he leave her when she was pregnant?
I think, I don't, I mean, yes, but I don't. And
there's
I'm flumfering because I don't want to put too much,
there's no
credence
way
into
that
like Wikipedia and stuff. But
right.
The
Well,
idea
okay,
is that he left without knowing that she was pregnant.
Okay, but here's the thing. So if they're on the Bantu wind,
Mhm.
and they Bantu blow, whatever they do,
Whoa.
they're like, how do you? I mean, she's impregnated that evening.
I don't. Yeah, we had this conversation way back in like I don't
Yes.
know 2019. I don't know what it was.
So
I don't think that that's the. I don't think that that's the. I don't think that was the dawning of Mutt that night on the Bantu Wind.
Okay,
I think
but
that was later.
you would think to yourself, if you go with that, that's one time that we can say here's a moment that we can hang our hat on.
Mhm.
So you're like, so Indy, I mean, if you're pregnant within what, 8 weeks, 6 weeks, 10 weeks, all
Maybe.
of a sudden
I forget.
you start to get bigger again. And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
so that would mean that Indy left Marion within a few weeks of the steps, the bureaucratic
Yeah.
tools. Like he left her within a few weeks.
That's entirely possible.
So I don't know how
Yeah.
long it takes people to realize they're pregnant. There was like a whole TV show based on people not realizing they were pregnant. So it could go months in theory.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So we see Indy here rather, like we said, he's a little, certainly deferential. And is that why he left Marion? Because he got tired of acting like a no, 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 I understand, dear. I mean, is that like was he just like, like he'd go back into the walk-in closet and be like, "Oh my God, I've got to get out of here. What am I doing?"
The walls are closing in.
Yeah,
What have I
exactly.
done? I'm inside. Yeah, I don't know. They didn't
I mean-
really. Well, I mean, I again, we've seen this movie dozens of times, and I don't remember a thing about it. But do they have that conversation later on? I don't know. People are yelling at us because, of course, they do. But I don't remember what is said.
I don't either. Well, okay, so she says one thing.
Maybe he
says-
left just as she was getting interesting, or whatever, or he left just as he was getting interesting, like he did to his dad.
Oh,
Nice callback.
Thank you.
that's good.
I'm
That's
good at
good.
this.
Well, what she says is, "Are you still leaving a trail of human wreckage?"
Right.
Now, okay, now they haven't seen each other in decades. They're not even sure who's alive and that sort of thing. And now that's the second or third thing she says to him. Are you still leaving a trail of human wreckage? So I'm wondering, does she mean like the love life, or does she mean stupido?
So here's the thing: if you want to convince people that you're doing well, you don't call yourself human wreckage.
Yeah. Oh, that's an excellent point. Yeah. Look what you did to me. I'm ruined. I'm wrecked.
That is. And then what's interesting is Indy then says, "Why are you looking for a date?" So he says so in a way it's self-incriminating. He's like, "Yes, you're right. I do leave a trail of human wreckage, and I still am leaving a trail of human wreckage. Like, do you want a date?"
That is really, really weird. I don't want to spend an hour on this, but it is a really weird, like, what could he mean by that line? Like it's either like, yes, and I'm going to wreck you now. If you would like to, I'll wreck you again. Or yes, I know exactly what you mean, and you feel that I wrecked you, and yeah, I did, or something.
Or is he saying that, Marion falls for bad men? Like he's just calling her out like, "Yeah, I'm a bad guy and you fall for bad guys."
Yeah. It's not my fault. It's yours.
I believe this is what was called, or what we presently call victim blaming. I don't know if they called it in the 50s.
Right. No, it's true. Yeah.
I couldn't have wrecked your life if you hadn't let me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I should say that even though Pete is not here, he left me some notes.
Yeah, he wrote them on on the wall.
No, it's just like I'll return, and then some notes about this minute. So, oh no, first I want to say, okay, her comeback. Okay, his question is weird. Are you looking for a date? And her comeback with anybody but you strikes me as very just nickel and dime kind of weak. Kind of. There's nothing.
It is.
This entire this minute especially is really, really reaching for some zippy one-liners and some snappy repartee, and it's not getting there at all for me.
It's interesting you use the word snappy repartee. That was exactly what I was going to say, and maybe that's why the relationship didn't work, because they couldn't muster any snappy repartee between them.
Right? Yeah. This argument they're having is exactly like the last argument they had, and that was boring and it wasn't satisfying, and so he left. But
if we think about that one night of magic back on the Bantu win, they were golden. Well, God damn it, Indy, where doesn't it hurt?
Right
here.
They were golden.
They were golden.
The Bantu badinage.
Well, okay. So I think so. It probably would. Okay, Tommy, would it have been better if he said, "Why are you looking for a date?" and then that was the end of it.
Maybe. Yeah.
Like that could have been the end of it. I'm not saying that would have been great, but
well, here, okay. In Pete's notes, he's got God, Pete's notes are color coded. That's so awesome. He's got
not at all surprised.
So some cut dialogue, like 2 little lines of dialogue from, I guess, the end of this scene of this this part of this argument. Indy says, "What are you mad at me for?" And Marion says, "How much time have you got?" Which again doesn't sound that great. That sounds like
I kind of
It's a
liked it. I'm sorry. I
but
didn't know.
you know what? We keep saying it sounds like a sitcom. It sounds like kind of low rent zippiness from a sitcom, like not
It
a great
is.
sitcom,
It
like
is.
filmed in front of a studio audience.
No, you're right. John's right too.
Yeah.
That is how this is going. Which I'm going to take a moment to say, look, I like. Before we started talking about this, I liked this scene.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Well, you are right. It's corny, and it's like, let's stop the movie while we add some levity. It's
Well, you
and
want a really cool, sharp scene between these two because that's all we got in Raiders. And this isn't. I mean, you can say, well, they're older. You know, they're not.
Sure.
They're physically not as sharp. They're mentally not as sharp. It's not going to be as cool. But I don't quite buy that. They're in a movie, and so they should be able to. They should be able to, bring it and be the Marion and Indy that we love. Otherwise, why bring a Marion back?
I love Indy in this scene. I think he's great. I think the scene is unfortunately poorly written.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Not you're right. It's not. It's not. I don't know. It's not dressed up well or the way it should be. But
Yeah.
I was going to say a lot of this I kind of like, and this kind of stuff would be like a full court shot. It's not easy to do.
Right.
The problem is the movie misses layups. I mean layups and free throws just brick right off the rim. I mean,
Yeah.
These
are sporting metaphors that I think I've seen elsewhere, so I'm using context
but
clues to
I
understand
think Indy in this is terrific. And Marion, it's tough. Look, Marion has a charm. It just kind of she glows on the screen, and they
Mhm.
do capture that, even with imperfect lines.
Yeah. I just feel like they're trying a little too hard right here. And
It's
they
'cause
should
they
be
are.
trying hard, but it should be paying off better.
Yeah.
I don't know. John, what do you think? You're smart.
I don't know. I think you're right that they are trying too hard, but that's what the yelling is all about, right? Trying to convince each other through volume instead of what their the actual
Yeah.
confidence to back up what you're saying is like, yeah, I had a great life without you. I don't need you.
Right. You should see
Saying
how many boyfriends I have. I'm
exactly.
awesome. Yeah.
Well, and Indy, stomps his foot down too, and he's like, "Oh yeah, well so have I." Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's
does either
true.
do we believe one of them over the other? If you're saying she's lying clearly, do you believe that Marion had a good life? Just despite her uh affected protestations here. Do you believe that she's happy? She's had a good life?
That depends what you mean by good. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into a good life, right? Is she happy every single day, or is she looking back at the last 20 years and saying, "Wow, there were some good days in there, but things could have gone better"? What kind of scale are we talking about?
Right.
I don't have a lot of confidence that looking back over 20 years, in the snap judgment that she's making here, because she can't sit back and consider while she's in the middle of the screaming match. No, probably her life has been relatively unsatisfying for the last 20 years, and we know a little bit more about Indy's life, and I suspect he's not found it terribly satisfying either. But more importantly,
Interesting.
would you
wait,
say that
yeah.
color coding is a symptom of mild anxiety disorder? Because I know that has to come up every single show.
I'm looking at it now and it's a breeze to read. I think he's got the right idea. He's got some
Okay.
things in red, some things in blue. I will say this, Pete, I love you to death wherever you are. I hope you make it out of the museum. But 2 spaces after a punctuation mark? I mean, that went out with with a typewriter.
Like
Come on.
He's down there with the shrunken heads.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait a minute. Has Indy has he had a happy life?
Indy, at least we've seen other movies with Indy, and he's had, I guess, only one since he last saw Marion, but he's had other loves and other adventures and stuff, and he reconciled with his old man, and I don't know. But I don't know. Does that mean he's happy? I don't know.
Well, like we talk about, we say like he lived at, didn't we say he lived at like, what was it, Provost Charlie's house or whatever his name?
Oh, yeah.
We said he lived in his house. That wasn't
Right.
Indy's house. That was,
yeah.
I kind of see him like that.
It's like always on somebody's couch.
He's
Yeah.
always on somebody's couch. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we
maybe,
know
I
his
don't
life.
know.
We know his life's been professionally satisfying. He keeps going on adventures and retrieving priceless artifacts and that sort of thing that get examined by top men. But
Right.
is his personal life something that's to be emulated? No, probably not, because he's always running around and never had time to settle down and have a real personal life, which maybe what he wants.
Yeah.
See,
I mean,
that's
if you're watching this scene as a fan of Indiana Jones, you're supposed to get the idea she has had maybe an okay life, but she was ditched by the true love of her life. And he maybe has had fun adventures, but he's only ever going to be in love with Marion and he let her go. So no, they're both miserable on some level and they need to get back together.
Yeah. Well, so okay, so right quick, Marion has been living with Ox? Like, okay, so Indy leaves,
Yeah.
Marion's pregnant, and Oxley takes over as this sort of avuncular role with Mutt and like
Yeah.
and like
Uncle Ox.
Uncle Ox. Yeah. and sort of like I guess like a pinch hitting spouse.
Yeah. Yeah, or like a father figure.
Yeah,
I'll take you in. You can stay at home while mend yourself after your broken heart, kind of stuff.
but you get the impression. So if they don't have any other children, right? If Marion, if Mutt is only Marion's kid,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of don't get the impression that the Ox necessarily lived up to his name, at least in the bedroom.
Hey.
So you're like, so has Marion? What has she been doing? I guess has she been living this life of domesticity that's sexless?
Well, no. She married a guy. She married.
No, I'm way off then.
Mutt's stepdad. Yeah,
And that guy, I don't remember. He died.
Yes.
Okay.
Died, but I forget how or where.
Yeah, I'm
Somewhere,
forgetting
somewhere.
it. All right, and
Yeah,
then
it seemed
that's
like he
when
was a
the
good
Ox came
dude.
in.
I think that's when the Ox came in.
Okay.
Yeah, after she
All right.
was widowed, even though I don't think she was married to the. I mean, she was married. She had his last name. She was Mary Williams. So yeah.
Williams. Okay, so that's sure.
Can I read you something awesome?
Yeah.
Just because I'm
Please.
I'm looking at Pete's notes. It's like he's here because he just there's this note. I feel more like we're watching One Day at a Time than Indiana Jones. Maybe Mutt is Schneider.
Wow.
Does it say at the bottom? Remember, 2 cans of wet food, 1 can dry. 2 cans wet food, 1 can dry. 2 cans wet food, 1 can dry. Turn off the lights. Basement 2. Like I see
3 times
Pete
off, 2 times on.
Yeah, he's making the little move that Ox makes with his right hand at the end of this.
Yeah. He's communicating with us.
2 cans wet food, 1 can dry. Okay.
But,
so
okay.
wait,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay. The she. Okay. Indy's got that line. Stalko comes out and the guy threatens her with a gun. He's like, "You're gonna help us or not?" And Indy goes, Marion, you had to go and get yourself kidnapped. And she's like, it's not like you did any better. And I'm like, and then he goes, same old, which is not a good line for Indiana Jones. I don't like that line for Indiana Jones. And the fact that it's again, it's like all these, they're reaching for these snappy things and they are not snappy. Marion, you had to go and get yourself kidnapped. That's a dumb setup for a bad line. Like he knows that he got kidnapped too. He wouldn't say it like that.
Yeah. Well,
It's silly.
It's supposed to illustrate the dynamic between them, where it's kind of this like lovable, scrappy, sort of like, I don't know. It plays into the old trope. It's like the couple that's bickering,
Yeah.
and for some reason that's charming. I mean,
I want it to be charming, and I feel like it
yeah.
might be charming later, but right now it's really bothering me. It feels kind of like, grade school play or something.
It's a very, very strange line. You could put me on a desert island for 1,000,000 years, and I would never think Indiana Jones would say here, "Oh, Marion, you had to go and get yourself kidnapped."
Yeah.
It's kind
I mean,
of
that doesn't even sound like one day at a time. That's like Leave It to
no.
Beaver or something.
I don't
Or like
mind. I think it's
Mayberry.
kind of an interesting line. It's kind of just an exhalation. It's almost
Mhm.
like oh, I said that out loud. He's kind of just like, "Oh, Marion, you had to go and get yourself kidnapped." Now, what's interesting is she said it's not like you did any better.
Yeah.
And she's right. And that's why we like Marion. That's why we love Marion, is she goes toe to toe with Indy and she calls him out on his horse crap.
Yeah. You know, what'd be better is if he just said, "Aw, Marion." Like if he just, Marion, and like is clearly disappointed in her. She's like, "Hey, you didn't do any better." Like she's mad at him for what he's thinking, but he doesn't have to say that stupid line, "You had to go and get yourself kidnapped."
Well, that's true. That could have been.
No one asked me.
Well, how did she got John, can you help us? This is one of those logic problems. Why did Marion get kidnapped again? I don't even remember.
I don't know. I tried watching the movie last night and I didn't make it all the way through. Like I made it through these minutes, but I barely remember what happened in the first part of the movie. But it probably had to do with like they wanted Ox and she was there, right? So they took her as well.
It does seem like like all the kidnappings are like a series. It's like a conga line of kidnappings. It's like they got to Ox so they could get Marion, so they could get Indy or something. It's like, who do they really want? I think it's like they had Ox, but they wanted Indy to talk to him because he's crazy.
But Ox is the guy that you want because he knows the most about it, right? He would be the
Yeah.
Abner Ravenwood in Raiders. Isn't Ox the guy that you
Yeah.
would want? He just happens to be pixelated.
Yeah, so like, did they try the whole skull thing on Marion? Like, why wouldn't Marion be the one who they already have? Why wouldn't she be the one to talk to Oxley and try to get through to him and get what he's saying?
My gosh, that's brilliant.
I'm good. Maybe we said this last week, but I'm good.
But no, it's
Maybe
true.
they tried and they failed.
It may be.
Marion is
Maybe she went crazy and now she sounds like she's a sitcom character.
She's she's only brought out here as a piece of leverage.
Yeah. For Indy.
Yeah, which is all that it is here. As a matter of fact, doesn't Spalko say something like, let's try a different pressure point?
Right.
And then
they tried it with Mutt and then that didn't work, so she goes to Marion. But like, why didn't she just start with Marion? She knows the whole time that she's got Marion there, and she might even know their history. Maybe they don't know their history. But then it seems it does seem like Marion's the ace in the hole, so she must sort of know their history, or she knows that she's important to Indy and that he's going to care if she gets shot in the back.
Well, Tom, sometimes when you turn it up to 10, you need that little extra, so you need to be able to turn it to 11.
That is true. Yeah. Hey, you guys are bad. You almost killed a greaser. No. Oh my God. Now you're going to kill the girl I used to go out with. Oh my God. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. These Russians go up to 11. There's another missing scene. It's
yes.
in blue.
Let's hear.
Mac is standing nearby. This is when they go over to talk to Oxley, and Mac says he's standing nearby, and he turns to the Russians and lowers his voice, and Mac says, "I'm giving 3-1. The Yank figures him out. Who wants some?" And the Russians nod and take bets, and Mac takes money out of his pocket.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So, okay, it goes to show that, like, Mac is an inveterate gambler.
Right. Yeah, he's not learning from his past cards mistakes.
Yeah, and so that's why he needs all the money, is he has a gambling problem.
Yeah.
That I vaguely remember from the first hour that I watched last night. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So that's.
But he's also gonna if he had made that bet, he would be winning. Like we know that Indy is gonna get through to Oxley, so maybe he's good. Maybe
John, did you saw this probably opening night in the theater, didn't you?
That is probably correct. Certainly opening weekend.
Yeah. And do you recall that weekend?
No. I'm not saying that I purposely blotted out of my memory, but I used to see a lot of movies, so the fact that I don't remember this particular opening night does not really surprise me. I do remember being fairly let down by it, Not that I was ever as much of an Indiana Jones fan as you lot are, because I didn't start a podcast about it. But I certainly enjoyed the first 3 movies well enough that I was excited to go see the new one, and I went in and I watched it, and I left disappointed.
Yeah.
What do you think about this Indy 5 stuff?
I will probably go see it opening weekend, and I will probably be, I don't want to see as disappointed, because now that this is, primed me, I'm probably not expecting all that much. So I'll probably like, well, at least it wasn't Crystal Skull.
Yeah, there you go.
It's funny.
See? Thank you, Crystal
I'm
Skull.
very hopeful.
I am too, actually.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. I'm getting more hopeful.
Sure. Okay.
But,
what are you seeing that is making you so hopeful?
Well, Mr. Spielberg, who I love and revere, is no longer directing it, which I think is a good move, because his last few turns of the bat at this sort of movie have been kind of lackluster, or not as exciting. They haven't been of the same caliber. I don't think he's going to make Raiders again, which is too bad. We heard that Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Mads Mikkelsen are going to be in it, and I think that's all we know. And Harrison Ford. But, the cast sounds cool and the director sounds cool. James Mangold of, I think the only thing I've seen by him is Logan, but I liked it.
Interesting. Yeah, I thought Logan was a very good movie. Not really what I want from a superhero movie, but it was very well made.
But it's what you need. Sorry.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, it was something different, and I approve of them trying to do something different rather than the same old superhero movie. But somehow, maybe it's just me, but like watching my superheroes, get old and lose control of themselves is not really what I go to superhero movie for.
Right. Well, speaking of Indiana Jones, he walks over and he starts talking to Ox, who's just sitting there talking to himself, quoting Milton. And Oxy's to lay their just, see, this is why I have Pete's notes. He does this homework, and now I see what it looks like. To lay their just hands on that golden key that opes the palace of eternity.
Am I assuming this is Paradise Lost?
Well, according to Pete's notes, it is, I don't know how to pronounce it, Comus, C-O-M-U-S, by John Milton, 1634. A masque, basically a musical for the royal court with singing and dancing and drama. This was all about the glories of chastity. The glories of chastity.
The glories of chastity.
Yeah, wait a minute. Now you go back and read that. Okay, to lay their just hands on that golden key. I'm fanning myself. Where's my mid julep? I think I'm gonna. That opes the palace of eternity. You do go on, Mr. Jones.
Mr. Milton, please.
Mr. Milton, I'm sorry. Mr. Milton lives in Florida. Call me John. Yeah, so that's, I don't know, like what would Oxy's character be like if he didn't have like Milton quotes that fit perfectly into what he's been seeing lately, as we discover?
I don't know, but John Hurt's
just be like
amazing.
babbling.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always, he could be doing anything and it'd be amazing.
Yeah, he could be doing anything because he doesn't have a ton here, and it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. But I guess that's it. Does anybody else have anything for 66?
I've been trained to believe that there's going to be something coming in over, I don't know, some sort of wire or something.
Yeah, what is that? Why does it?
Pshaw! You guys are. Oh, wait a minute!
Oh my God!
There is something coming in over the wire. Let me see here. Yes, from.
How did John know that?
I can't believe he listens to the show. From Professor Christy Porter, just in. Did Marion open another bar called Williams? Well, you know what? Okay, look, I'm glad that she's sitting here she's just as kind of like, now what happened? How's she been living? I can see that, by the way. I can see Marion opening another bar, and it would probably be in like I could see at this time it would be like in sort of like a cul-de-sac-y type mall called Williams. Right. Yeah.
There's a college town or something,
Oh, that would be called the Hacky Sack.
Called the
Oh, yeah, there
yes,
you go.
yes. Probably be like, well, what they have back in the 50s? It'd be, they'd have, they'd serve up T-Bird and maybe there'd be pool and darts.
Yeah, darts, yeah.
Man, she wouldn't, it would just be like, listen, Mac, not listen, Air Mac.
Right, just straight up Mac.
Just straight up Mac.
And I'm sure that's why Mutt went wrong because, pool with a capital P, which rhymes with T, which stands for, or maybe I got that backwards. Trouble,
No,
it won't go
trouble with
well.
a
That's
cap-
the
yeah.
point.
Right here in River City. Yeah. Yeah, now we know.
Well, here we are.
Yeah. Well, thank you, John, for joining us. I hope you've had enough fun that you would like to come back next week as well.
I think that could be arranged.
All right. That's good. Let's do that. Everybody, until next week, we always talk about, hey, supporting the show and all that stuff. If you want to support the show in a way that costs you not a dime, but maybe a few seconds of your life, head over to wherever you are listening to this beautiful podcast and rate, review, and subscribe. Let the people know that you love us and that we're loved and that the show's cool. It makes us look popular, and there's nothing more important than looking and being popular, as you know. But while you're doing that, we are going to get ready for next week for minute 67 of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
Tommy, would it have been better if Indy had not been doing the hand switches while I was talking to them?
It's a little bit facts of life.